Pennywise the Dancing Clown. There's something seriously off about a clown that smiles too wide. And Pennywise nails that unsettling vibe like he's been practicing for centuries. The guy doesn't even need to say much. One creepy grin from a sewer grate, and every kid in Derry suddenly wants to move out of state. See, it isn't just your average small-town nightmare. It's an ancient alien creature that crash-landed on Earth way before humans showed up. It can turn into anything it wants, but for some reason, it really enjoys the whole dancing clown thing. Maybe it's the balloon access. Maybe it's the fact that kids can't decide if clowns are fun or terrifying. Either way, Pennywise gets the job done. He jokes, he juggles, and then he eats you classic multitasker. And just when Derry starts to forget all about him, after every 27 years, the clown alarm goes off. First it was the 80s, then the 2017 reboot, and now the new Welcome to Derry series brings him back for another round of suicide horror. So yeah, Pennywise might be the world's worst birthday entertainer, but he's definitely the best at making us nervous while checking the nearest storm drain. The Paul Bunyan statue. Richie Tozier's back in Derry, walking through the park after getting bullied, again, by Henry Bowers at the arcade. The guy just wants some air. Maybe a moment without ghosts or clowns or trauma. But this is Derry, and peace and quiet are basically banned. He looks up, and there's that massive Paul Bunyan statue, the town's proud 31-foot mascot of folksy charm and hidden dread. The people who built it back in the 60s said it gave them bad vibes. Yeah, turns out they were right. It's literally cursed. The statue suddenly creaks, and its giant axe shifts, sending chills through Richie. The once friendly face of Paul Bunyan starts to move, smile stretching like it's been waiting years for this exact moment. Then comes the voice, which is Pennywise's voice, mocking, echoing, "I know your secret." The ground shakes as the statue lunges, swinging the axe like it's chopping more than wood. This time, Richie bolts, yelling something that probably isn't PG, because how do you fight a giant possessed lumberjack? But then, in pure Losers Club fashion, Richie decides to stop running. He tells himself it isn't real, that this is just Pennywise messing with his head. And poof, just like that, the statue's still again, back to being fiberglass and bad fashion choices. Mrs. Kirsch. Beverly Marsh really should have known better than to revisit her old house in Derry, but nostalgia makes people do dumb things. When she knocks on the door, she's greeted by Mrs. Kirsch, a sweet, smiling old lady who offers her tea and cookies. Seems harmless, right? Except this is Derry, and in Derry, tea time usually ends in trauma. As Bev looks around, the place feels off. Too quiet. Too staged. Like the house itself is holding its breath. Mrs. Kirsch starts chatting about Bev's father in that weird sing-song voice, and it gets uncomfortable fast. Then, mid-sentence, the old lady disappears into the kitchen. Bev hears something moving. Not shuffling. More like thudding. When Mrs. Kirsch comes back out, she's not so sweet anymore. Her skin's sagging, her eyes are black, and suddenly she's 9 feet tall and completely naked, sprinting across the room like nightmare fuel in a floral nightgown. That's when it hits. It's not Mrs. Kirsch at all. It's Pennywise, having the time of his life as a deranged grandma. He chose that form to mess with Bev's deepest fear, her childhood home, and her abusive father, blending safety and horror into one horrifying tea party. The scene is gross and deeply disturbing, proving once again that Pennywise doesn't need a sewer to ruin your day. Sometimes he just needs an old lady with bad tea and worse intentions. The Deadlights. Beverly Marsh didn't plan on becoming clown bait, but Derry had other ideas. When Pennywise drags her into his sewer lair, he doesn't waste time with small talk. He dances for a second, because of course he does, and then his face opens up like some awful blooming flower. Inside, 3 glowing orange orbs, spinning and humming like nightmare Christmas lights. Those are the Deadlights, Pennywise's real form. Bev looks right at them, freezes midair, and basically checks out of reality. By the time the losers find her, she's floating like she's stuck between worlds. When she wakes, she tells them she saw all of them as adults. But when Stan asks how he looks, she lies and says, same, just taller. Probably because deep down, she knows he won't live to see it. Buy it. Chapter 2. We learn that Deadlights don't just hypnotize people, they show things. Richie stares into them and lives, but whatever he saw stays a mystery. Bev hears kids screaming for help, which means Pennywise isn't just eating fear and flesh, he's snacking on souls too. The consequences of seeing the Deadlights are brutal. Bev ends up in a coma-like trance after staring into them, completely frozen until the losers pull her back. The flute lady. Stanley Uris just wanted to visit his dad's office. Worst decision of his life. Hanging on the wall is this bizarre painting of a woman playing a flute. Her face is stretched like taffy. Her smile's way too big, and she looks like she skipped friendly music teacher and went straight to haunted art exhibit. Naturally, Stan hates it. Every time he walks by, he tries not to look because it feels like she's looking back. Then one day, the painting isn't on the wall anymore. It's gone. Stan turns around, and guess who's suddenly standing behind him? Yup, the flute lady herself, stepping right out of the frame like a glitch in reality. She's lopsided, pale, and making these weird flute noises that sound more like nightmares than notes. Turns out, it's not just cursed art, it's Pennywise, wearing his best abstract horror disguise. The reason it chooses this form is pure psychological warfare. Stan's the logical one, the neat freak, the kid who needs everything in order. The flute lady is the total opposite. It's distorted, unpredictable, and deeply wrong. She's what happens when Pennywise decides to weaponize your sense of control. And honestly, it works. Stan's so shaken by the encounter that he never looks at art the same way again. Moral of the story: if a painting gives you bad vibes, don't stare, it might just stare back with a flute. Georgie Denbrough. When Bill goes back to his old house, he ends up in the basement, a place filled with childhood memories. And then he sees Georgie, just standing there, smiling in his little yellow raincoat, saying sorry for losing the paper boat. For a second, Bill believes it. He really thinks it's his brother. You can see it in his face, that small spark of hope. But then, Georgie changes. His smile turns into a creepy sneer. His skin starts to rot. His eyes go hollow. And he starts saying, "You'll float too." That's when it hits. This isn't Georgie. It's just a puppet. Pennywise is playing a cruel joke. Pennywise throws the fake Georgie aside and charges at Bill, barely missing, then slithers away into the darkness. But the part that really hurts comes later, in the sewers. Georgie shows up again. This time, he's missing an arm and doesn't have his raincoat. But he's holding that same paper boat. He tells Bill he's been stuck down there the whole time and just wants to go home. And again, Bill almost believes him, until Georgie calls the boat it instead of she. That tiny mistake is all it takes. Bill taught his real brother that boats are always she. That's when he knows that this isn't Georgie. Even though it breaks his heart, Bill tells Georgie he loves him, and then he shoots him. Pennywise comes out of the body, but the emotional damage is already done. After the final fight, Bill finds Georgie's old raincoat, torn and soaked, and that's when it finally hits him. The worst thing Pennywise ever did wasn't killing Georgie. It was making Bill believe he could have him back. The crawling head. The Losers Club is back in that creepy house, trying to deal with their fears, and out of nowhere, they open a fridge. And inside, it's Stanley's head, just his severed head, sitting there like it's been waiting for them. And here's the thing, Stanley had already died by suicide before coming back to Derry, so seeing his head like that, it hits really hard. But it gets even worse. Just when you think it's going to be a normal horror jump scare, the head suddenly grows spider legs and starts crawling toward them. Then Richie stares at it and says, "You've got to be kidding." Turns out, that line is a shout out to the movie The Thing, where the exact same thing happens. A head grows legs and crawls away. Hader actually asked the director if he could say it as a tribute. Super nerdy, but honestly, so perfect for the moment. But what really makes the scene stick with you isn't just how gross it is. And yeah, it's definitely gross. It's the reason behind it. Pennywise is using something deeply personal against them. He takes the body of their dead friend and turns it into this crawling, nightmarish creature, the giant spider. By the time the Losers Club makes it to the bottom of Derry's sewers in It, Chapter 2, they're done pretending to be brave. They pull out the ritual of Chud, chant a few words, and for about 3 seconds, it looks like it's working. Then Pennywise laughs, that deep, echoing, "you tried" kind of laugh, and the whole cave starts shaking. The lights flicker, the ground cracks, and suddenly he's not a clown anymore. He's so much worse. His body twists, stretches, and explodes into this enormous spider-clown hybrid, legs sprouting, torso bulging, and that big, goofy clown head still smiling on top. It's like someone mixed a circus with your worst insect nightmare. The losers look up, realizing that they now have to fight something that could probably crush a car just by sneezing. The movie doesn't waste time explaining it. This is Pennywise's ultimate, Let's finish this form. He's faster, louder, and way angrier. The sewers turn into a full-blown monster arena as he chases the group around, smashing tunnels and taunting them with that awful laugh. It's over the top, a little ridiculous, but still terrifying. The kind of scene that makes you both scream and laugh because your brain can't decide which emotion to commit to. And honestly, that's peak Pennywise energy. Part horror, part chaos, all nightmare. But here's the thing, Pennywise is just one nightmare in King's universe. Every creature in his world comes with its own lore, its own rules, and its own horrors. This video breaks them all down, so you finally understand how deep the nightmare really goes. Click on the next video to see every monster in the Stephen King universe, explained in 9 minutes. See you there.